So from politics to drug busts, and there is a connection because Carter County's former sheriff, Tommy Adams, who I'm guessing was a Democrat, I don't know, he was, that was one of our blue counties, I believe, was just sentenced to 10 years in prison last summer, as was one of the deputies from Carter County. His sentence was related to methamphetamine charges, and I think there may have been some weapons charges in there as well. But the first time that I taught this class 2 years ago, he got arrested, I think, that semester in the spring of 2011 when he was arrested on a drug bust. And you know, that was a national story when a sheriff of a county got arrested for meth charges, and especially when the county just happened to be in Missouri, the meth capital of the world. That was something that was going to make headlines. But for most of the last 12 or 15 years, Missouri has led the nation in meth lab busts. We continue. I think there was one year when California beat us, but they got a lot more people than we do. We still had them per capita, I'm sure, and so it's been a major issue. Now this map shows you, this is just raw numbers. This is not per capita statistics and just raw numbers, the number of meth busts. And you can see that suburban St. Louis tends to lead the way. But there's a lot more people up there and a lot more people to bust than there are. But you can see some, down in here, there's some dark counties where there have been quite a few busts as well. And here's the little thing. But, it's one of those, and I don't know how to explain Missouri's story. Why Missouri? I guess you could sugarcoat it and say our law enforcement is much better at making busts. I don't know. We've talked about the Branson area. I don't know if it's Taney County or Branson has recently passed a rule or ordinance requiring you to have a prescription to get pseudoephedrine or ephedrine, so you can't get it over the counter anymore, and apparently that's what they're looking at here as well, as possibly doing that. And then the other question had to do, Millie seems to be really interested in the manufacture of methamphetamine here. But there are different methods of making it, and I'm sure that your nearest internet portal will tell you all you need to know about how to make. I'm guessing there's probably all kinds of instructions. Yeah. You need to do it from the library or something, right? From a public. They were saying that I was listening to the radio a couple of days ago, and they were talking about that maybe these Boston bombers, the Boston Marathon bombers, had learned how to make bombs off the internet or something, and you can just anything's out there pretty much, so, but you've got to start there. I know that it's a dangerous thing. I know at least one person who had a meth lab blow up on him, and as if that weren't bad enough, then he got to recuperate in jail and then spend a couple years in prison. After the recuperation. So it is a very dangerous sort of thing. Yeah. What Winter's Bone? The movie, that's what are they? He snorts it in there, and I don't remember if anybody shoots it up or smokes it or anything like that. But it's and of course, one of the things that has so closely identified Missouri with the meth industry the last couple of years was the success of the 2010 film Winter's Bone, which was based on the earlier novel by Daniel Woodrell, It was very true to the novel, and the novel is very much focused on this kind of meth subculture in South Central Missouri. The film was actually made here in Southwest Missouri, but a very powerful novel and a powerful film that unfortunately probably a lot of people watched and interpreted as a documentary of life in the Ozarks. I say that partially in jest, but I think a lot of people did see that. A lot of LA, New York coastal people saw that and thought, well, that's how life is in the Ozarks. And it is there's a certain subset of the Ozarks for whom life is like that, but many of you commented in your journals, those of you who wrote about Winter's Bone and things like that, usually made the comment that most people in the Ozarks, as we know, don't live like that and aren't involved in that subculture. But the thing about the novel is a work of art, and it doesn't have to be a documentary. Daniel Woodrell doesn't have to try to represent the full spectrum of the Ozarks. It would be much less interesting if he did have a chapter or two on the accountants and school teachers of West Plains. That was, who wants to read about that? Unless they're doing meth, they're not very interesting. And so they, that's just part of it. And so I really like the novel and I really like the movie. But I do know that some people who aren't familiar with the Ozarks saw that as a statement of true life in the Ozarks, and that bothers people from the Ozarks. Yeah.
Like all the TV programs that are coming out with the hillbilly thing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, the reality TV just kind of splash of hillbilly life that we seem to be enjoying right now. That's fortunately, I don't think they've come out with. Well, I wouldn't say they haven't come out with the Meth Chronicles or something. They seem to have everything else. They do have the Moonshiners, but Cops. Well, yeah, Cops. That's basically the meth show, isn't it? From the other side. That's